Okay, here's a follow-up video on the Honda Odyssey. This is a 2019 Honda Odyssey Elite trim. I did a previous review video of this at about 10,000 miles. We're now at 18,000 miles. And due to a lot of the comments and a lot of the things that I've experienced with the vehicle, I'm doing a follow-up video. This is going to be a list of 18 things we dislike about the van. So it's in a review. This is just 18 things we're going to talk about that we don't like about it. And I wish we would have known about this before purchasing it. Would have changed our decision. So stay tuned. Watch. Make sure you stay through the last feature that we don't like, because we want to get all these. Okay, the first couple I'm going to talk about just mechanical issues that we've experienced with the vehicle. So this seemed to be on our last Honda Odyssey. We had a 2014, the brakes. So number one feature that we don't like about it, the brakes. This vehicle only has 18,000 miles on it. We're already getting shimmy from the brakes as we're braking from high speed. So we've read that it might not be the rotor's warped, but it might just be the pads are leaving deposits on the rotors, and it's causing that braking. It just seems like they're not giving a high quality pad, a brake pad, and it's just causing this shaking, shimming, or the rotors could be warped. So that's number one. One of the other mechanical issues, this is number two that we've experienced, is this has had a faulty power cable coming from the battery to the fuse box, and that's caused us to go into the shop over four times for this issue, for them to figure this out. And this thing would go into park. This has like an electronic, transmission gear selection. So I'd be driving 45 miles an hour. All of a sudden, it'd just go into park, going 45 miles an hour. Transmission would start grinding. The steering wheel would lock up. Power would flicker off. That happened multiple occasions, probably over 20 times while we were driving. It took them over 4 times to be able to figure that problem out in the shop. So we were very disappointed. That whole experience really soured our experience with this vehicle. That happened around between 4 to 8,000 miles on this vehicle. All right, continuing on to some of the features in the interior that we don't like. Wireless charging pad. It's not worth it to upgrade to the Elite trim because this is not a useful feature. If you have a case on your phone, it won't charge through the case. So that we haven't gotten any use out of that. All right, number 4. On our 2014 Honda Odyssey Elite, there was a cool box here. You could open it up. It had cooling features. You could keep medicine. You could keep drinks cold or cool. They've done away with that. So that's number 4 thing that we dislike about this, is they did away with the cool box in the front. They do have a little deal here. The other one had this as well, but it's a little, we just keep DVDs and stuff in there. Are the auto wipers. So this is supposed to have, it does have like auto sensing windshield wipers. So when rain's hitting the windshield, it'll turn on, they'll adjust automatically. There is a sensitivity setting here. You can make it more sensitive or less sensitive, but it just doesn't seem to keep up. It also doesn't seem to react very good, and it just seems like it's a new feature for Honda. Like they haven't figured out how to get it to work properly. So a lot of times we just use like low. We just push it down to the low setting, and so that way the wipers will just be on low, and that's the only way we really use the feature on the windshield wipers. Okay, another feature here in the front is just this rear window lockout feature. So if I push this button here, it locks the window so the kids aren't messing around with the switches in the back, right? Well, it also locks me out. I can't adjust the passenger or any of the rear windows when this is engaged. So I'm battling my kids with the window switches, and if I turn this on to lock them out, I can't do anything with their windows. So every other vehicle I've owned, if you push the window lockout, the driver can still adjust the window switches. I don't know why Honda does that. Okay, one thing I think that Honda needed to do better at was the miles per gallon. So if you see here, this is supposed to be rated at 28 mpg highway. I don't know what the city is, 18, 19, 20, I don't know. 23 mpg is what we've averaged. This is over almost 3,000 miles. A lot of that is highway. I'd say that's 70% highway, 30% city. So that's been the same. 28 highway has been the same MPG since like 1999. There's been no improvement in the MPG. I can't believe that Honda hasn't figured out a way, when the rest of the industry has gotten better fuel economy, why this vehicle has not gotten better fuel economy. It should be getting better fuel economy, in my opinion. Okay, another feature we really don't like, this cabin watch. So if you push that, you're able to get a view of the rear. I have a light shining in the back. It's kind of darker, but if you see, you can zoom in here, and it's just super grainy. The picture is not very good at all. You can't You can barely see your kids' faces. You can't tell whether they're sleeping or not. I just don't think that this is very well thought out. They should have done a better camera. Like the backup camera is fine. I don't know why they couldn't have used the same quality on the cabin watch camera, but it really isn't that great. Super grainy video. The auto start stop feature. Okay, I know there's really not a way around this. All of the new vehicles are coming with this, but this is just so annoying. It's so intrusive. Like the other day I was driving this. I was in the left turn lane in the middle of a street trying to turn left. It engages, and I needed to turn the wheel so I could start my turn, and it was engaged, and the steering wheel is locked up because it's an electronic steering, and I wasn't able to steer. So like I had to jam on the gas. It started up. I had to turn. This is just super intrusive. So that's one thing we do not like. Okay, we don't really like the adaptive cruise control lane keep assist. These aren't very helpful. I was really excited about this. These are one of the main reasons that we upgraded to this vehicle. I thought the safety features, the driving features were going to be great. Lane keep assist works okay. It doesn't work all the time. It doesn't seem like it keeps me in the lane that well. And then the cruise control is just the gap is too wide. People cut you off. It slows you down. It just seems like the engine is constantly like going. RPMs are really high, really low. It's not an economical way to have the cruise control, and it just is not a natural way of driving. So I disengage this all the time because it's just not very helpful. Okay, moving on to the rear entertainment. For this model year, Honda changed from a dual screen to a single screen. I guess the only benefit to the new system is it does play Blu-ray discs, and that's the only thing we use. The rear entertainment does have some apps built into it. So if you see here, it has Spotify, iHeartRadio. It does have an HDMI. And there used to be a... Let's see. There used to be like a PBS Kids thing. I guess it's not there anymore. Maybe it's that. They need to have the ability to download new and or different apps. Like, we would love it to be able to have, like, download Netflix, Disney Plus, some Hulu, more useful applications. And we've had to get around that by hooking up a Fire Cube or an Apple TV to the rear HDMI. But it just seems like this, if it has apps pre-installed, why can't we download new ones or do different ones? I think the Honda should allow that. There's this thing called How Much Further. It basically displays on the screen. All right, I'm in the back. Here's the How Much Further app up. Now, it's kind of cool that it just shows you, like how many minutes, miles to go, how many miles you've traveled. The big downside of this, and the reason we've never used it, is because you have to have navigation going on the screen, and you can't even mess with any of the navigation stuff unless you're like in park. So if you just want to insert like a destination, you can't. You have to stop the car, put it in park to be able to manipulate anything on the navigation. So because that's kind of annoying to do, so we just never put in a destination, so we're never able to use this. So this is what the How Much Further looks like. But you can't do this and a movie at the same time. So it's like the kids don't want to watch this the whole time. They want to watch their movies. So there's, they have to like toggle between this and the DVD screen or the HDMI screen to be able to see How Much Further. So this is not very helpful. The rear entertainment system is not, I think it was better in the previous generation Odysseys. We had a 14 where it has the wider dual screen. You could do a dual screen. This only has a single screen. Like I said, the only benefit is the Blu-ray player, but you still have to use an external device if you want to stream your shows, like from Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. Okay, continuing here in the back seat, one complaint we have really is the lack of charging ports in this vehicle. So the front has a couple, but in the rear, they really are limited. So you only have two USB ports right here. This is all you have, and it's like right in the middle, so it's not really convenient for each side passenger. Maybe the middle person, okay, but you still have to string cables across. It would be nice if it was more so like, let's say in the door sill here, maybe where it was maybe out of the way. or in the back of the seat somehow. There's a HDMI port right here. This is where you hook into for the rear DVD. We have our Fire Cube hooked up. Check out my other video on how to stream Netflix from that. Okay, I'm still here in the second row, just right behind the passenger seat here. Here's the vents. This is a big complaint we have. Honda did away with the second compressor in the vans. They just have the single compressor, so you only have the AC is not that good. The AC is not as good as it has been in the previous generations. Before, they had the vents up on the roof, you know, like a roof vent that would come down. Now they have it here. It's like knee level. It's right here. And the big downside is that if you have a child seat facing rear, you know, you got a baby that's in a baby seat, they're not going to get any airflow. The only vent you have is this one, and on the other side you have that one there for that passenger there. Those are the only two you have in the whole second row. So your baby's not going to get airflow because it's no longer in the roof. You can't get the vents in the roof. They're down here. So I think that's a big negative, is the airflow in the back seat. Third row as well. We don't live in a real hot climate. We have the windows tinted with ceramic tint, and it, 95 degrees, it's on full blast to keep up. If you live somewhere where it's 100 degrees plus for any kind of period of time, it's going to struggle. All right, the second row seats do slide. You lift up that handle there, they slide back and forth. You release this handle, it goes forward. A big downside to these seats are if you want to haul any kind of cargo, let's say you want to put these seats down so that you can, haul something long, maybe some furniture, some store stuff there, whatever it might be. To take these seats out, they're very heavy. I mean, they're probably 70 pounds plus. The middle seat's not bad. This middle seat we usually have out, so you have, the Elite has, I don't know what other trims have this, but you do have this removable third seat in the second row. That can come out. We usually leave that out so that way the kids can walk in here up through the middle. But these seats are very heavy, so if you want to haul something, you're at Home Depot and you want to haul some plywood, you got to plan beforehand. You got to lift this seat out, you got to lift that seat out, set them somewhere, get your wood, bring it back. So like things that are just spur of the moment, you're not planning to haul things and you have to, you really can't do that. You can only lay down the third row, and that only gives you about half the storage room. So these heavy seats that are hard to remove, heavy to remove, really are a negative to this. Okay, we are in the third row. This is the back row. And there is here's the air vents here. So the air vents are there. Same complaint as before. They need to be up in the roof to really give some good circulation. So that's a negative. Also, there is a power outlet right here on this side. This is the driver's side, third row seat. You have a headphone jack and a volume control. That's nice. Where Honda fell short, though, is they didn't duplicate that on the other side. If I look here to the other side, headphone jack, volume control, and then no charging available. So I have two boys that usually sit back here. They're 11 and 9 years old, and they want to charge their Kindles or their tablets or whatever. They've got to string a cord from that side to this side for this child to be able to charge their device. Why couldn't they have just put a charging port here? Small USB, 12 volt, whatever it might be. They really dropped the ball. Here's your vent here on the back for that. Again, needs to be up in the roof to be effective, because it really is not. Moving to the rear of the vehicle, now Honda is supposed to have this, it's a rear tailgate thing. You kick underneath the bumper and the back comes up. That's not a useful feature for us. So the reason why I believe that it takes too long. So it takes too long to get the lift gate up. And you have to be very precise on where you put your foot and exactly how far or fast you kick your foot under there. So it's like if you hold your foot there, it doesn't work. If you real fast, it doesn't work. Oh, but if you kick it underneath there again, it stops. Go back down. What happened? So this is what normally happens. It just gets stuck there and then you just gotta manually lift it up. So it's just easier to drop whatever you have in your hands and just open up with a key or touch the button. Here in the rear cargo compartment, you have the Honda Vac, the famous Honda vacuum that's like a shop vac that you can use. So I don't think we've ever used this Honda vac before. There's two reasons why. And the first one is the cord. You have to like bundle up, roll up into this thing. So it's hard to get this cord out, hard to get it back in. But the real downside to the vacuum is you have to have the vehicle on. So the ignition on. If you have the ignition on for like 2 minutes and you turn this on, you'll get a low battery warning. So you really have like seriously 2 minutes before the battery runs out. So basically that leaves you to having the vehicle, the motor, the engine on to be able to use the vacuum. Here's the downside to that. When you have the vacuum on, you're probably going to have the rear open to be able to get access to it. But as you do, the tailpipe exhaust will come up and fill the cab with exhaust while you're vacuuming. So you basically, if you're going to do that, be careful, because open up all your windows, all your doors, and don't let your kids in there while you're vacuuming, because your whole car is going to fill up with exhaust. When you have this liftgate up, it's going to the exhaust goes right up to it and just floats right into the car. So I think it's dangerous that you have to have the vehicle on really to use the vacuum. So that's really the downside to it, is exhaust fumes in the cab with this back open. So I guess what you could do is, I guess a workaround is, you know, pull the whole cord out, throw the cord up front, shut this down, have it on, and then use it. I guess that's something you could do, but it's just a hassle to like have to open and close the tailgate several times while you're trying to use the vacuum. So ultimately, we don't use the vacuum. But one thing that's very surprising is the range on the remote control is not very good. So if I'm more than 200 feet away, the remote doesn't respond to the inputs. So to be able to do the remote start, you have to push lock, and then you hold down the start. Well, it's surprising to me how many times, if I'm in a building or if I'm far away in the parking lot and I'm walking towards the vehicle and I want to start it up, I go through the sequence, I get to the vehicle, it's not even on. So it seems like the remote control range is not very far, and you know, this remote's not very old, so it shouldn't be an issue, but it is. Okay, guys, so hopefully you've whether you agree or disagree with what I like or dislike about it, you know, feel free to share your opinion, comments. Hopefully it helps everyone make a decision if you're shopping for a vehicle like this. But I think the real thing that we disliked about this is the Elite trim is just not worth it. A lot of the features and the complaints we have about it are Elite trim features. So I think we would have been better off with like an EX, the EXL. Would have been great. You know, it's probably 12, 15 grand cheaper than this. The only thing that looks nice on the Elite are the wheels. Everything else, not useful. So the Elite trim, that's the number one thing we don't like about the Honda Odyssey, is the Elite trim and its useless features. Again, we've put about 18,000 miles on it. This is our own personal vehicle, so you know, we're not biased. We're not getting paid by anyone. We want to give everyone a real world perspective on what it's like owning one of these. Things we've discovered along the way. I wish we would have known these before we bought it, because that would have changed our opinion. But anyways, appreciate you watching the video. Give a thumbs up, give a positive comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.